Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. I am Toby and we have got the second day of week 1 here in the PKL phase 3. It's been a interesting day. Paperthin and I got to cast it. If you guys want to watch the streams live, it's happening for the most part over on Paperthin's Twitch channel. It's at twitch.com/Paperthin here. I'll put a link in the description below as well if you're watching on YouTube. And yeah, that normally starts around 11 o'clock. It's happening on Saturday as well. And I don't know if it's going to be there, if it's going to be on my channel, but if you follow on Twitter or on Twitch, you will, of course, get notification whenever it is happening. You'll know where to be. So we'll start off game 1 in just a moment. It's been Group A and Group C playing today. And you can argue that Group B is the strongest group. They have some of the best teams in that group, and they were not playing today, so some different teams in there that we didn't know what to expect anything from. 3, as we talked about in the day 1 video, 3 or 4 teams that came from contenders played in that group. But the first place team, that is Michael Gaming, it's called Michael, just like Michael Jackson. Michael Gaming, their team was the first place team out of contenders. So we were both Clinton and I were very curious to see how they would do, but let's not hold it any longer. Let's just get straight into that very first game. Western Plain, pretty straightforward. You can go pretty much wherever you want. We have yet to see a committed military team, and on day 1 we had OPGG in. They were famous on Face It Global Summit for being that military team, but we didn't see them go military then. And well, I mean, there's no military teams this time around. Also, well, this circle popped, so obviously no one's gonna commit down there. MVP going up north. That's the spot that VSG has gone to before. VSG is in Group B, therefore there's room for them to go here. And then we have the Geek team down in the bottom. It's a Geek Star. I'm pretty sure it's Geek Star. They're looting bottom. That's where Quattro were looting in that game 1 on Monday, and Quattro as well is not here because they're in Group B as well. So they will get to loot down there. Other than that, no big surprises. We did have both Detonator and Ensus Force. Detonator were the first place team, or they are the first place team in all of the tournament so far, and Ensus Force didn't have anyone contesting on Monday, and this time around though they want to take the fight to Detonator. So that's interesting. A little bit of a skirmish going on there, but no really big thing coming from it. Circle is north, not a whole lot to it. Of course, you don't want to rotate through Pachinki, but you have all the usual highway routes around that you can pretty easily get access to. Shouldn't be too much of an hassle to get all the way up there. Only thing is, of course, other than there being water on the west side, you have the river going through the middle. We'll draw the serpent here. The river goes through the middle. It kind of splits it up, not in half, but well, somewhat split in half, so you don't know for sure whether it's gonna go north or whether it's gonna go south. Something that players have to keep in mind, which is also why you tend to see teams either be really close to the water or have somewhat of a split on each side. So for example, Esther could be sitting here and then his teammates could be over in Cube, or they could split here and Cube, or have somebody on the hilltop and somebody, I don't know, containers, whatever. Just have people on both sides so that whenever the circle does commit to either side of the river, you will have a pretty easy access route over to the other. And Haze, thank you so much for the host. And welcome all of Haze's viewers. We're doing analysis of the day 2 of the Korean PKL, Korean Pro League. So first circle pops, no immediate rushes to go anywhere. And this is kind of interesting because we had these two teams, World Class and Gen G, on day 1 on Monday. They were, I mean, it was an Eastern Circle, but Gen G lost both Pio and Esther in trying to contest Everest early. And this time around, they just say, no interested, not interested in that at all. We can go below. No reason for us to go up towards Everest. So they stay on the northern side. Already then, adaption play from day 1. Michael, they're going to start their drive on forward, find themselves somewhere to go. It's pretty easy rotation for them. They saw nobody landed down here. Knew 2 teams were in Pachinki. They just sent the rotation over towards yellows. Not a whole lot more to it. LVG and EM, they go up north. Nothing really to fear for them. But then this one was really confusing to me. Look at this. So I fully respect that you want to have control on both sides of the water. But these guys, I mean, Yayava and Yune, they have sat up here for a while now, scouting in this direction and in this direction. And they should know, unless if Esther and Taemin literally did nothing to make sound, they should know for a fact that there's a team here. I mean, that's just, I take for granted that they knew this. And still, they sent QQ all by himself over on the northern side. And yes, they did jump out of the plane later, so they should know there was the North George team too. But this push from Yuna gets immediately blown up. And then immediately after, a QQ comes as well, ends up getting killed too. That, to me, is a loss of 2 players that probably shouldn't have happened. You can say what you want, but they already had a position in Everest. They were in a spot where they could have scouted this route. Could just be a call where they thought they had something clear, but even if it was clear, if you have players sitting here and here in a circle where it's so 50-50 split with the river going through, I mean, one of these 2 spots are going to get contested, even in circle 1. Unless if you're really good at just spraying at those vehicles and forcing people away, they will more often than not spot very quickly that it's a 2 split, like 2-person split, and then a 4-man team will crash you. So risky play that ends up not working out for World Class, unfortunate for them. And then we have Damwong. They start, well, I mean, they move forward. They don't scout either. They just think, you know, we're moving early. Blue has barely even started moving. We'll come in from the south. We'll go up and we'll take, I probably shouldn't be drawing red when it's 2 red teams here. But we'll take control of the twin buildings up here. Doesn't happen. Knight gets himself a double with the vehicles. Nalita goes down, Cross goes down. And immediately, this is, keep in mind, this is the first game in PKL ever for the Michael squad. Michael Gaming, MCL. This is their first ever game of PKL. They came from contenders in phase 2, and they get themselves right off the bat 4 kills. Very, very good start. Detonator, the first place team coming into the tournament, arguably the best, if not one of the best teams in the entire tournament. Very quickly see the split. Dumbo gets caught off. Knight gets killed as well. So now all of a sudden, Michael comes down to a 2-person team. Not optimal whatsoever. Keep that in mind. Also, New Circle Pups. Still, no guarantee that it's going to go south. They could still go up north. But, of course, I mean, you look at the stats, you look at the chances. There's a much bigger landmass on the southern side. Therefore, more people up to go down there. And, well, I mean, it kind of makes sense that most people up to go down south. World Class, they get to keep this area up top for themselves for a while. AFA, Roa, he's all by himself from Ares. All of a sudden, Leglow pushes over, and this is again one of those situations. I mean, and I talked to Paperthin about it as well. You don't see that many 2-2 splits in Korea. It's very often a 3-1 split, if anything. You see it here, 3-1. You see it here, they attempt to make a 3-1 split. They want to hard commit the bunch on one spot, and it makes sense because if you lose 2 players, that's half your team gone. Whereas when you have a 3-1 split, it's that situation where if the solo dies, we still have 3 players. We can still kind of play the way we want to. If the entire team dies, well, at least we still have the solo. Like, they just never want to be 2 guys alive. Either you're the sneaky snake and you're solo, or you're 3 or 4 guys and you can still kind of dictate how you want to play. You cannot really go aggressive if you're only a duo and you're running into a 4-man team. You always have to be the one adapting to how the team you go up against set the speed. But in Korea, it's a very, very common thing to split 3-1 rather than 2-2. Which I don't know why Leglo goes up here, because I would assume that he hurt the vehicle from Roa, but he goes down, gets taken out immediately. You see Voice, he wants to get the vehicle up, go up and help, but it's simply too late. Not gonna happen. They lose 1, APK stays 3 guys alive. And now with this shift, we guarantee south, but just like we did on yesterday's stream, watch this. If we draw a line through the middle, right now these teams are up here, look at the concentration of teams on the east side. And I can explain to you why this happens, but look at the concentration of teams on the eastern side of the circle. There are so many teams over here, and very, very few. One thing is that we only have 1 team in Everest itself. Normally you can have 1 or 2 there, but there's 2 things to it. If we split this area of the map, like if we split the circle up into 3, we can split it like this. It's like the peace sign, you know? Where, like, what do we have? South, this is a field. This up here is Everest. We'll just write a big E. And over here is Ruins. Ruins is probably the closest we'll get to a city, with the exception of the fact that there's no roofs, other than church and the compound up here, of course. But this is where you can cram people. You have the forest areas. You have the ridge lines you can play from. You can play from the backside down here with the river. If you're in here, you're in the open and you're gonna die. If you're anywhere down here where you don't have a compound, you're in the open and you're going to die. And if you're up here without any vehicle, without vision, without knowing what you're going up against, you're most likely going to die as well. Or even if you do get up the top of Everest, outside you won't be able to get down from it again. So there's really only one place to play for all these teams, and that's East, which forces such a cluster of teams into a very small area of the map. You see LVG, they try to go up and take some control, and all of a sudden you have a team in MVP. These guys, they're sitting up in containers, and all you can do in this situation is do this. Come on, circle, just anywhere north of Everest, and we'll be happy. So the circle pops in just a short moment, and let's see where it goes. If you're MVP right now, you're clearly cheering for the wrong, or praying to the wrong circle god, because that's unfortunate. And we were sitting on air, and I was saying, what do you do if you're MVP? Obviously, they don't know necessarily about all the fights that are happening here, but when they see the kill feed light up is the way that it was at this point with all these teams fighting, they have got to figure it. I mean, obviously, it's not all of those teams fighting out here. It's not all those teams fighting in these one compounds. It could be down here, but it's most likely up here. So either you go around the top and you just wait and play it slow, or you send it underneath the bottom side. But the thing is, even if you go bottom or south around the Everest, what can you play? Like, you cannot just stop here and park your vehicles. You're going to die the next circle no matter where it goes. So the only stop you're going to get is if you go up here, or if you find some hills over here to play. And even that will be practically impossible, right? So they're all kinds of screwed. Getting down from Everest becomes tricky because LVG has set up themselves. There's still the compound available in the middle, but you can't really get to that unless if you just kind of full speed forward send it. And then we have everyone in ruins that are just in a cluster. Genji try to go around. They realize there's no way this is happening. MVP sees that, so they go over to take the spot. They want to go further around. Not exactly an easy play, but Genji does exactly what we just said. They're realizing, and they have seen all these fights happening. Not gonna happen. We have to go around the other way, and they send it. I really like the rotation from Genji. It's a really, really smart play. Esther goes up, sees their people. Like, I think initially they wanted to go up. As the scouts, they push up, take control, and they can scout further forward from here. But since he hears them shooting, he hears the guys pushing down, they just push around. And this play initially is smart. There's just nothing to take. Had they crashed here, could have been one other, like another story. But there's just nothing for Genji to take in this play. You can see they're forced to split out. Esther comes over. They're all caught on trees. They do make it till later in the game, I believe. But they can't do anything from there. It's just them being caught behind burning vehicles and trees. And they only survive for as long as they have smokes available. In the meantime, Ruins becomes even more of a chaos. World Class, they try to scout towards the opposite side of the circle because they start getting, I think they wanted to go down towards where LVG was, but couldn't make the play on it. LVG, all of a sudden, they get full on. They get on foot pushed, I believe. Yeah, these guys push on foot. A Freak of Freaks push on foot in towards the compound. So that's something. Instead of taking the vehicles, they crash on foot. This becomes a cluster force, and this was a good play from Entis Force. You can see this, and we talked about it on air, like on the stream too. Entis Force have 3 guys up close, and Indigo making sure no one's coming to third party initially. When Indigo realizes, like, the circle is already starting to close in, you can see now he's starting to make his move up towards his teammates. That's when he figures, you know what, there's not going to be anyone coming here. It's this should be safe. We're fine. I'm going to go up and assist, and then we'll take it as it comes. That's exactly when it happens. Boom. Yayaba spots him, I think. Yep, there you go. He spots him, takes him out. And all of a sudden, what was before Entis Force being able to hold this angle and kind of dictate, maybe they even wanted to sweep it and push over this way. Like, if they just follow the action and sweep it over the top, they could have gone up and taken the hilltop, maybe contested the compound. This is them saying, oh no, Yayaba just killed one of ours. We didn't get the return flush in. We don't know if it's 1 or if it's 3 guys down there. What do we do? So now they have to wait. They cannot make a move up because there could be 3 guys pushing up behind them that will take them out. So this blocks their entire chance. Their entire chance to make a play up here. They now need to sit tight. They wait for Yayaba, or they find him in the end, I believe. Yep, they get him down too. But now it's too late to push this way because they're going to be exposed to the compound and they haven't had a chance to scout it. So they have to push underneath as well into the chaos that is already commencing. Michael's still alive in the game. Remember, they lost 2 players extremely early on. Still alive here. They're sitting tight. They hear all the action south. Circle goes away. How do you play this one? Do you contest south, not knowing how many opponents you're running into? Do you sit tight? Or do you run north? Remember, the game doesn't really show it, but there's somewhat of a ridge line here. That means that Cross can only see until here. But Kale, Sheonyang, and Doja can as well not, like, they cannot see up here if they aren't here. Like, they have to be on the cross in order to see the compound, which means they've given up control of the compound. They'll stay down here and wait for them to come over the ridge, but that doesn't happen. These guys, MCL, they push over the top. Really smart play. There's nothing to come for down here. They get the corner angle because the only real threat to this position is if you play from the compound. And first of all, they had the compound. Second of all, it's out now, so it doesn't really matter. They make the move on up to the top. This becomes a 2v2v2 fight. AFA, no, they have to push out, take the fight to 1. MCL crosses over, and now they know for a fact there's only so many players left alive. 6 guys up. We have 1 knocked in each team. It's a 2v1v1 in our favor. We can make a play on this. So they run up. They see the knock come in. They push back down. Spot 1. Wasan goes down. Sees Kale. Gets the kill on towards him as well. Boom. Really, really smart plays coming in for a team that has never played against a lobby of this caliber before. Sure, a lot of circles came their way. They were in this compound pretty much since Circle 2. But as a duo in PKL, to understand how to push out instead of crashing down, going over the top, and when to do the engages and when to fall back down, really smart plays coming out from PCL. And I'm now realizing that this text has been wrong the whole time and you guys haven't said anything. It's of course day 2, game 1. But really, really smart plays coming out from Con and Cross in order to win the game. So good game from them overall, and that was game 1. And we'll bounce it straight into the second game of the day, which of course is our all favorite Sanhok. Sanhok. Yep. You heard me right. Sanhok. Wait, we should probably... What if we... Phase 3... I'm just changing this real quickly. I probably should have done this before, but... One. Alignment, sender. I think it fits us. Then people know what week it is too. Might as well just fix it all while we're there. So, Sanhok is the next one on the list. I'm still not convinced. I'll put it at that. I'll let you guys see the game for yourself to think what you want to think. But in any case, I don't even know why we're doing an analysis of Sanhok, but we'll do it anyway. Circle is northeast. We still have people parachuting at this point. STA, I don't know if you guys remember from day 1 that STA were parachuting. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4. What they do is as soon as they go in the sky, they open their parachutes and then they stay as high up as they can in the air until the first circle pops, and then they'll try and fly over to the center of that. So in this case it's up here, right? So they just start parachuting up that direction, but it doesn't work and they end up losing players because of it. Everyone else take vehicles early, rotate. You want to get into a good center position. Ensis Force, they get in early. World Class get up there real early on. APK already have a decent spot to play from. At this point MSQ has already got 8 kills. Watch this. There are 2 teams landing. 2 teams land in boot camp. They wipe them really quickly. Griffin Red land with MSQ. 4 kills. Immediately after, they split out. They hear, I think one of them hears the vehicles from MCL, so they know to anticipate them on the shoreline. They go up, they just set up an ambush. Boom, 4 more kills, 8 kills. Easy game. They could die now and probably still end up in the top. Pretty, not in first place, obviously, but somewhere up there. Ares, they're very late. GSP, extremely late. Element Mystic, they're down there as well. Circle 2 pups, and we're going even further out to the water. Now, obviously, you cannot really play this side of the circle since, well, you can, but it's water, so you probably wouldn't. And we all know that in phase 3, it's going to shift back to land. So everyone not wanting to be on the edge here, it just becomes chaos. It just becomes really hard to play around. Ensis Force try to make a move in, get something that's more center. World Class move one compound further, and LVG try to find somewhere to lay low. And this is just everyone in these games are just camping. I want you guys to go back and watch the replay of the of both the Sanhok game. Like everyone will camp. Literally just sit in the corner of a room with a gun out. Half of them have level 1 gear. They'll sit and they'll camp, and then they'll just wait. Wait and wait and wait until either A, they're getting breached, or B, the circle forces them to go somewhere else. And then they'll camp when they get to the new place. Nobody moves. If you're inside the circle, if you're somewhat center, you just chill. You don't do anything. Everyone get a compound and lay low. Just chill. Just chill. I'm very interested in seeing how it's going to be for EU and NA in this regard, because people are playing it extremely passive in Korea. Ares crash into Bravo. They get that somewhat by themselves. EM try to push up. All of a sudden here, Geekstar push up. They get spotted by Ensis Force. Now they have to come down and hold them off. Not a whole lot more to it. They realize, well, we're not going to get inside this circle, so we might as well just all die to the blue. Because that's... This is pro PUBG, by the way, guys. Yeah. And it's just, I mean, the entire northern side here becomes a cluster. The circle hard shifted south, just like we saw with Ruins previously. There's nowhere they can go. You cannot rotate on vehicles. You're going to be too late anyway. June is going to go down to the blue. Genji, Esther try to make it in. He's not going to happen. He's going to go down. Soul is going to go down to the blue at some point, I believe, as well. Does he make it in? Yeah, just exactly. He gets down anyway, though. Cluster of a fight happens on the other side of the road. Everyone knew where everyone was, just nobody wanted to make a move, and now that the circle is forcing them to make that move, it becomes hardcore chaotic. APK pushes over the top. EM has a good position down here, and Force is on the southern side. They actually play this one really well, Force. Not that they are overly aggressive, but they know which angles to hold when. So it's not that they're just sitting and camping in a room and not looking at anything. They're constantly scouting, constantly staying aware of their surroundings and playing accordingly. World Class caught in the shack here. There's a bit of a wall down here that I think you have to go up either here, like this way, or that way around. Ensis wants to come up and sweep them and hold, like, keep them from being able to cross over. They end up getting third-partied by Element. And in this situation, you would think Element has to get the win. I mean, World Class and ESPA are in the northern side, and these guys have full control. Now they get the flush extremely quickly, and I would have assumed for Element to make the push initially, which doesn't happen. Kira goes up to get a peek over the top, doesn't work. They're playing uphill battle towards them, and then somehow World Class gets to win that game, despite the fact that it looked like this for a while. I mean, when you have a circle with so much control, you would assume for one team to win, but because it's Sanhok, and because I think people are a little over aggressive early on, then it doesn't really work out the way they wanted it. So yeah, Sanhok is there, but so far, at least so far, I have not seen the so far I haven't really seen enough to be positive about Sanhok. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe teams just need to figure out the correct way to playing Sanhok, because I don't think anyone really has found that yet. Well, that was game 2. Nonetheless, we're kind of going through these ones quickly, but Sanhok, there really wasn't a whole lot to talk about, other than the fact that it doesn't really work. Game 3, we're going over to Miramar. Now we can go back to what's normal. Northern Circle. Yeah, there was I don't know if it was a struggle on Miramar. I think teams were just trying to find a way to adapt to it, and also they were very, very quick at making changes to Miramar to fit things better even before competitive Miramar came into play. They added more dirt roads and changed some of the cities. I mean, El Pozo used to be a much bigger city than what it is now. Same thing with San Martin. There was a whole area down here where you can still see it on the map, actually, where there used to be extra buildings and whatnot. And they've changed a lot of the cities accordingly, but there's been no, like, since release, there's been absolutely no changes, to my recognition. There's been absolutely no changes on Sanhok. So I think that's why the map, I don't know, it needs, I mean, in order to be a proper esports map, I think it needs some changes that hasn't come in yet. Hopefully it'll happen, we'll see. But it takes people to play it, of course, until we know whether it works or not. So Circle 1 is up north. Oftentimes when we talk Sanhok and northern circles, we talk about this mountain line. It can be a little frustrating to have to rotate over, because on the top of it, you have San Martin, you have Hacienda, you can't really rotate through. And everything up north, I mean, the same thing goes for El Pozo. Rotation get blocked off pretty easily. And what you go up into the northern side is all these really, like, the high points and the low points. The low points are just the roads that go through, and the high points you see on all the shadowy mountain tops, right? So everyone's gonna look to get a high point, unless if they can get a compound. And if they get a compound, they're locked down. I mean, if you sit here, you're not going to run up the hilltop to scout over, because you know that by late game there's going to be players everywhere. So scout early, and then hope that the info that you were able to obtain early on in the game can grant you something later on as well. Teams are going to start the rotations. STA, they're looting the eastern side anyway, so they're just going to hug it all the way up and over. AFA on the backside, Africa Freaks Ares, they're going to go over on the west. They see MSQ, but I don't believe any real fight actually comes off of it. No, they just rotate around one another. Damwong, they're gonna go in late as well. Whoops, in late as well. New circle pops, and we're going back down south. Okay, so we're not going all the way up north into the crazy chaos up there. We are going further down south, which to a certain extent is okay. I mean, it's the game, but as we said before, there are some high and low points that are really hard to, if you don't have, like, if you don't have one of these high points or a compound in this type of circle, you're pretty screwed. If you're forced, because these like everything from here to here, other than this shack, which is barely even playable, like everything here, this is a pretty big chunk of this circle, right? It's just an open downhill towards a compound. And the thing is, it's not just that compound that's going to be shooting at you. We'll make a line over here as well. It's like all of these people, all of these people can see you on this entire face of the mountain. And there's nothing you can do. So if you're forced over there, it becomes really hard to do anything at all other than just hiding behind a cactus or inside a shack. Same thing for most areas of the map, honestly. Will you be doing these analysis every day for PEL 2? I think so. I think so, Gus. I'm pretty certain that I will. Depends on a few things, but I'm pretty certain that I will. So everyone's still splitting. 2-on-1, 2-2, two-way split down here as well. 3-1 split, the usual split we've seen happen many times before in Korea. Wide split as well for world class. They won the previous games. They're obviously coming into it with quite a bit of confidence. Now the new circle pops and we're going. You start wondering why I marked that area early on in this game, because this is exactly where things end up going down. And there's a lot of interesting things happen in this push. Few of which I mean, what's funny about this is that there's no one style of play in Korea. In Europe, I mean, obviously teams play differently as well, but it's easier to stereotypically say, oh, the European teams tend to do this or that. Whereas in Korea, you can have one team that is ultra passive. These guys, for example, Stardom. Ultra passive team, and then out of nowhere they go out and do something absolutely crazy. And then you can have other teams that are normally extremely aggressive, and then you see them just hard camp a corner for 15 minutes. You're like, what? So it's very hard to predict the playstyle of certain Korean teams. It could just also be because I simply don't know enough about them, but I feel like I know enough about most of the Korean teams that I can generalize some thoughts on how they play. But there are just some teams apparently that are very very unpredictable, and it's got to be tough, especially if you're a player from another team. Normally, let's say that you play for Gen G and you are coordinating, oh, should we go over here or should we go over there? Then you say, oh, but Ensis Force is over there, they tend to play like this, and this team is over here, they tend to play like this. And then you kind of base your decision making according to that. But then sometimes you also have a team where it's like, we have no idea what they're going to do. So do we engage with them or not? Or are they going to engage us, even though their position is better? It's like, it becomes really hard to plan when you don't know what you're going into. So full respect for the Korean teams that go up against some of these opponents that are very, very unpredictable. Ensis Force, they end up going down towards this compound. We have, again, compound play all the way around here. Detonator, they have the hilltop, but as I said earlier, keep in mind this entire area is practically unplayable, right? So if you're up here now, get the info that you can and then get the hell down from this mountain. Because if you reach a situation where they're going to be forced to leave, as in the circle shifts away, believe me, these guys know that Ensis Force ain't going to push over. ESPA, they ain't going to push over either. Geekstars, they ain't going to push over. So what will LVG look for? Vroom. They'll just turn all their barrels up the hill and start looking to take a fight with the guys up above. And of course, I mean, you're going to stay until the circle shifts, but as soon as it does shift, you got to get going. And these guys, they don't get going. They stay. You can see right now, they should have been driving down this hill long time ago, but they're still scouting, trying to find out what to do. And that's what we were talking about during the cast as well. What would you rather? Would you rather sit up here and know that everything is taken? Or would you rather sit up here without any info and just crash something and take it as it comes? Because literally every playable area remaining in this circle, like there, I don't think there's any place. Yes, they can all go inside this shack, or all try and crash this shack. But there's pretty much no playable terrain left in this circle where they won't have to fight a team. Of course, we are also hitting Circle 5 and Circle 6 now, so it makes sense that there isn't supposed to be, but we were still at 58 people this late in the game because people in Korea tend to play extremely passive, that these cluster situations escalate. Gen G forced inside a shack this early on. 4 guys crashing in one shack, not optimal. Michael Gaming coming from behind, they end up taking down 2 players. I'll make that 1 player. They still have a few guys up. Detonator go, oh no, 1 shack is gone, let's just go over and take the other, and everyone's hugging their compounds. I mean, you see no movement outside anywhere here. Everyone's hugging the compounds that they're in. Understandably so. Ensis Force have a really, really good play here. They hold off 2 guys against 4. If you haven't seen it already, go back and watch the replay. Really impressive hold by Indigo and Doya. I think I might link that clip later on today because they played that one extremely well. And everyone's pretty much just running around. Like you saw Nas, as soon as they hear vehicles, oh no, where are we getting crashed from? When are they coming? That's what everyone's doing because this is just heavy compound play. Everybody that's alive, pretty much with a chance to do anything from here, has compounds. And same thing up here. Look at the way that MS play Media Square plays this match as well. Really, really impressive. They know in order for us to play this hilltop and look inward, we need to deal with everything that is coming in this direction first. Like everything up here we have to deal with. So they send up Soul. Warang comes up to help as well. And as soon as they see them on the backside, boom, hold them off. They heard the fight escalate. They take the shots. Now they can push in, look forward. Really smart understanding of not just always saying, oh, we're outside the circle, we have to look in. Sometimes you got to deal with the guy on the backside too. ESVA playing it safe from the compound, but now they know as well. DWG, Dawang is sitting above them. They're like a little above them on the, you can't really see it in the terrain here, but this hill spot is a little higher than the compound. Circle is on them, so they could technically they can just stay. But that's going to be pressured because if they have to move at any point, if they have to move from this compound at any point, that's going to be them shooting. So now Styx starts shooting over. Smart plays by them. Loki pushes up. This is a really good play from them as well. Honestly, this is what gets them inside the top 6, I believe. Gen G. They try to send Pio over because they initially want to get the Ensis Force compound, but Pio ends up getting taken down. Up comes Loki. And look at this. While Loki is running up, Tamin starts shooting. Right now, Tamin is taking all the focus away from Detonator. Like, they're all looking down towards Tamin down here, and he just keeps shooting. He doesn't even care if he knocks anybody, he just keeps on tapping while Loki is sneaking his way up on Nova, and he ends up getting himself a triple kill, or a double kill. Tamin gets the first knock up on the top. Really, really good play by them. STA, they crashed one compound, and now they crash another, kind of blindly crashing compounds. They end up getting taken down. Again, one of those Joker teams you can't really know what to expect from. And then this play from ESVA, really, really interesting what happens now. So Circle shifts away, Heart shifts down south. They know we need to leave, but they cannot just full speed send it in because, I mean, everyone's going to see them, and that's most likely going to be dead. So they start shooting over towards Geek Squad. They know Genji's above as well. And they realize very quickly, in order for us to make a move down the hill, we need to deal with what's up the hill first. So now they take their focus, like now they turn their attention to D-Wong. If we want to play anything up this hill, we need to deal with these guys first. As soon as they start driving and make them move further down the hill, they start pushing out. They need to make this play on towards them. At the same time, GSP, like they don't, you see Under, he's inside the compound still. They don't make an aggressive move until they see that these guys are busy with something else. These guys are having an engagement with one another, right? Ensis Force, just two guys alive, will leave them to do what they do. But they don't take this engagement up here before they see that this is happening down here. Because then they know if we take this fight, it's just going to be us. 4v4, we'll take this fight. Don't have to deal with these guys below. So they come over, they finish the fight extremely quickly. And then they're able to actually even third party this one. And to a certain extent, help out LVG a little bit. So they all get taken down. Now they have to crash down. Indigo and his teammate, they have been under fire for 1 billion years. So they get taken down. They almost win it, actually, but they get taken down. Now in a 3v2 in favor of LVG. Circle centers up. Juwon tries to push over. I really like this play. They keep sticks on the backside. Kind of the same thing that we saw with Genji just before. Where this guy is just literally standing, waving his arms, saying, look at me, guys, look at me. I'm over here. And in the meantime, Juwon tries to peek over to maybe get that first knock. But Juwon plays too passive, in my opinion. Styx is already getting seen. Now he's forced back down. Styx has a cross, sitting on top of each other, and they're both going to go down because of it. They could have, like, had Juwon dared play more aggressive, he probably could have made a play. But also kudos to LVG for not aggressing. They knew they had the center over towards them, like the center dot that Circles want to go to, over towards them. And they were just waiting. Sometimes teams go, oh, we're 3 against 2, we can do this. And then they overstep and they get killed because of it. But these guys, you can see the way they're standing. They're just holding the line. One holds above. One holds the center. One holds the road beneath. They know they have to cross. The circle center is on their side, right? You just play it smart. Stay on your side. Wait for them to come forward. Wait for them to make a mistake. Juwon starts shooting. Doesn't get the knock. Boom. Over the top and they get them. Really, really smart play from LVG. And that's the funny thing, because LVG is not a team in my book that go out and do crazy things, but this time around they end up winning the game again. Sure, they got the compound, but that is, as you said really early on, this area of the map is just get the compound, get the win. Unfortunately, but that's sometimes, I mean, that's why we play so many games in pro leagues, right? Because sometimes that's the case. You get the compound, you get the win, and they not only got the compound, they also held off people and got the win. So impressive game from LVG. And now we'll go into game number 4. This is a quick video, guys. But then again, we also only took, 3 minutes talking about Sanhok. And if you have any questions, please do ask. If you have anything you want to ask or know or whatever, do feel free to throw it in there. Game number 4. Game number 4. Let's see. Decent plane. Pretty similar to what we've seen before. 3 southern teams. Circle goes south as well. And the exact same things come into play as did before with how you can rotate through. You don't want to drive through Monte. You don't want to go down the hillsides because you don't know what to expect from Picado. And yeah, just in general on Miramar, edge rotations, I mean, corner rotations, or what you'd call them, around the backside are much better. Of course, you cannot go into the water and rotate. Only you could, but it would make literally no sense to do. But just in general, slow pushing forward on Miramar can be extremely difficult. Now let's see, the circle's going to start closing in real soon. And And the first rotations is starting to come in as well. Everyone's going to make the move on down. There's some priority areas in these circles because, I mean, this area down here is very big and very open. Same thing up here. There are some open fields that are extremely hard to play around. It's not before pretty much, like once we get south of this, kind of south of here, that's when the terrain starts becoming more, what do you call it? Like the fields, the grass is taller and there are more things to hide behind and stuff like that. Like once you get behind the red line or below the red line, it's easier to hide in the open as opposed to when you're up here in these fields. That's just, you have a hay bale. That's pretty much it. He said as he spit all over his microphone. Circle's gonna start closing in. Most teams are rotated already. GSP and APK, they're coming in late. New circle pops. And once again, I mean, it's not technically a hard shift because there's room left, but it's a tricky shift because, first of all, Los Leones blocks off quite a bit, which means that if we've done these lines before, but when we draw up the line, this entire thing becomes really hard to rotate through. You can't really rotate through the field. You can, but it's going to be hard as well to rotate through the field. Top you can do, bottom there's no one at, so you won't see anyone coming in from down here either. Yet. So we have an entry point, whoops. We have a entry point here to the circle, entry points below. So pretty much this entire thing is green lights. And then if you play compounds wisely, you can come in from up here on the top as well. And of course you can come in from the south, but there's no one down here yet. So that's going to be tricky. And we can see if you look at the way people do rotate, underneath, underneath, underneath. These guys go through the middle, that becomes tricky. These guys go all the way underneath. I mean, I draw this up not even being able to keep track of what everyone do, but they do what I draw up. And yes, I casted the game and I know some of the things that happened, but I've done these, like, you know, where we draw the lines and whatnot on so many different games. And very often, maybe with very few exceptions, I mean, the guys in Griffin Red pushed through the city because they couldn't really do anything else. They saw they were getting beaten on the rotations. But very often it works out, so you guys can do it too. It's just a matter of watching enough PUBG, I guess. Circle, once again, hard shifts. This time around we go back out east, and well, we talked about this field. That's open and not funny to be in. We have the entire northern side. It's a big no-no. And then and then we fall back to what I still believe is one of the... It's not an issue, because teams work their way around it. But look at this circle. Right now we have a 3-1 split. Again, we see so many of them being done in PKL. A 3-1 split in the center. We have a 2-2 split in the center. And we have MVP who are about to crash the hillside. They know they're 4 guys together, obviously. And this is so lucky for MSQ. And you have to keep this in mind. This is so lucky for MSQ because MSQ have 2 guys on the top, 2 guys over here, and they're having I think it's like a 20-second fight with MVP, but we never see a knock. Like, nobody ever gets knocked in the engagement. So they're getting shot at from different angles, and they have to fall back down because all of a sudden Griffin Red is starting to shoot uphill towards them. Watch what happens up here. If they knew that this was this team, let's say they knock one of the guys, right? Or they get knocked maybe, so they know that it's MSQ. He runs over his teammate. These guys are about to rotate in a pretty late rotation, honestly, over towards their teammates. And I think it's Divert gets run over by his teammate. Had they known that it was MSQ who were on top, they would just have like 180'd and flown up the hill to fight them because they knew there was only going to be 2 people up there, arguably in a better spot than where they were sitting down here right now. So fortunately, it's never revealed that it's MSQ who's up there, and they get to stay in the spot that they're in. Again, 3-1 split up on the hilltop, 3-1 split for DTN as well. And this is the first time, actually. Now there's still 15 teams alive, but at this point on the day, Detonator, despite being a good team, or we've seen them get some kills, they have 0 placement points on the day at this point. So it's been a rough day for them. I think they had 15 points after 3 games, and all of them were kills. Pretty impressive. And now everyone's going to start making their pushes forward, make their ways on in towards the circle. Ensis Force trying to make their run forward. At this point, they're also, I mean, Ensis Force I think they only had 1 game outside of top 5. on the entire day. That was very impressive. And that was this one. A very, very good day for Instance Force. They had a rough day one, but they really made up for it. Detonator trying to figure out how they want to play. They push up slowly, try to get control of Church. Wake It Up, try to scout anything forward, see what's available. You can always cross the other line too. Once again, third hard shift in a row. This time going back out east. LVG tries to cross up. They actually get up here too. And Rainin, this is again one of those situations where this shouldn't have happened. Rainin is crossing all by himself. All four of them are going to vehicles. Magni goes back, and I'm still not sure why. I saw it happen in the game, and he drives back up the hill. They're all crossing, 3 vehicles. They come over, immediately they flush Crank and Nuz, and then Magni goes back. And he ends up getting shot inside the compound. I'm still not sure exactly why that was. Maybe he forgot something. Left his bandages, I don't know. But he ends up getting taken down. Detonator gets so much control off of that. They hear all the fights happening inside of Church, and they say, you know, let's just full split and take control on the backside. So they go up over the top to well, have as big of a chance as possible to get the circle. The more control you have, the bigger the chances you'll get the circle towards you. Makes perfect sense. Fights escalate on the top. Dynamo push up. Really smart play by them. And at this point, we still have 4 guys alive from Stardom. And I was, when I saw this game, I was thinking, oh my god, Stardom's actually going to do something here. Because look at this. We have a 2-team fight escalating. Damwong, perfect timing for a third-party engagement. And now Stardom comes over, and I think they want to third-party this, but it doesn't really happen. So they just stay down in the bottom. They wanted to go up and aggress, but they say, no, well, no, we'll stay. Geekstar, they try to push on forward. Doesn't really work out for them either. Great play from Huawang to try and hold them off. He's by himself, but he has good backup from his teammates. And at this point as well, I mean, I think MSQ had 12 kills in this game. So they were just fragging. I mean, they were on the Sanhok game and this game combined, they had like 26 kills. Really impressive day from MSQ. But Circle shifts. Star there somewhat caught off. And here you would think, because these guys have just been pushed by Detonator, here you'd think that Stardom would do something to engage that, but just as they're considering it, MSQ pushes out to do an engagement on towards Damwong. And that's when I thought, oh my god, they're doing it. Stardom is actually engaging something. On day 1, we were talking about how passive they were and how it cost them potential wins. This time around, they have a chance to push up on third party, and then they start sneaking around, throwing nades without seeing anything, and they just end up getting taken apart. Like, they just get completely... They had a perfect third party opportunity, and because they're too slow and don't really... Like, they only half commit to the decisions that they've made, they end up getting taken down, unfortunately. MSQ, up on the top, they still have the high ground to play around. It's a... well, I mean, you can put it this way. The circle is going to end on them. The circle is, like, here, but... It's a 4v3 in favor of Detonator. And Detonator not having had a single placement point of the entire day yet. They, well, they managed to find Soul. He ends up going down to the blue, but they end up winning the game with 4 guys alive. I don't think they ever had a player knocked in the entire game. Maybe they had one knock when they pushed in here. I'm not even sure if they did. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. They win the game with 11 kills, I think, and they didn't have a single player knocked throughout any of it. That is a very, very, very hard thing to do. Considering how many engagements they were in and how well they played it, to not have a single player knocked throughout all of it is, that's not exactly easy. Not exactly easy whatsoever. And yeah, that was that was the day. Pretty quickly gone through, but it was a lot of the same things that repeated itself. Some crashes that I weren't anticipating, and then again, I mean, just teams giving up, like leaving way too much space for opponents. I think that's a good takeaway for European and NA teams if they're going to play Korean teams again anytime soon. It's only very few teams that dare go aggressive. So don't be afraid. I mean, they're not gonna breach you. They're not gonna push you if they aren't 100% sure that they'll win. Whereas in Europe and NA, I feel like teams tend to not necessarily take chances, but dare a little more, at least when it comes to those sort of things.